what kind of man goes to Middlebury College in Vermont? And then he's came out and worked for Philip Zelikow on the 9/11 Commission as a researcher.
So that's like CIA, FBI training?
CIA training, I think. And then Textron, tech company, tech security, Oracle. Then he was a cybersecurity guru for New York City. And then he moved on.
He got the golden egg with developing 5G and designing the whole Internet of Things, at least.
Apparently so, but obviously a made man of some sort.
Yeah. Pretty fascinating. I've never heard of him.
How did you run across him?
My buddy threw him at me. He just mentioned him in a phone chat, but he was like jumping in and out of rabbit holes and came across this guy he was like really not into, but he just like whipped out this name like really quick and nonchalantly, and he's like, "What? Who is that guy?" Looked him up and was like, "Whoa, this guy's."
Why did he change his name?
Yeah, right. Because I immediately YouTubed him. There was nothing about nothing. I thought there was going to be a TED Talk or something.
There's not too much. I think I got to like the second level, and that's about it. I'll have to do a little more research.
Yeah, fascinating. Cool. Well, I appreciate you poking around.
Not at all. You know I love that kind of challenge.
Yeah, I thought you would, yeah.
That's like raw meat, man.
Yeah, I know. Who is this guy?
We'll figure that shithead out.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Good stuff.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. I'm going to check Discord one more time, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, shit. What? Oh, strange. Oh, thanks. Rod, you're more than welcome to co-host. Anybody that wants to be on it, just turn on your video, and we'll go around the table. I got some clips to go over this last week, like special events, and then we'll just have a roundtable discussion about them.
Hey, Joshua.
Hi, Lisa.
I posted a few screenshots from last night. I don't know if that's useful. I did it in the Do It Live chat of the feed on AU. I have a few more. I'll just throw them in there just in case they're useful.
Perfect. I appreciate that. All right. I'm kicking this off. Welcome. My name is Joshua Hale. Welcome to Do It Live Autonomy Podcast. Today on our show, we have a bunch of flies on the wall right now. We'll see if we can coax them out into joining us for a discussion about what happened this last week in week 7 of season 3 in Autonomy. It was jam-packed, full of good stuff. I was extremely busy. I look forward to discussing some of the highlights with you. Later on, we'll see how this conversation goes. So stick around, all right? First thing I got to share with you is last Sunday, we had a live Q&A where we typically go over the previous lecture's material. And from that, you really get to hear what people are working on, what they're going through, and I got a quick little clip, and then we can talk about this and see how it goes.
I could probably get that. But yeah, that's
okay. So that's cool that you're not like, no, I can't do that. You're like, I probably could. So let's put some details around that. Probably. The probably might look like this. You're trying to put together a website so that you can do your thing maybe full time, explore this opportunity. You go back to those past customers. You just tell them what you're doing. I'm putting together a website. I have some pictures of the piece that I did for you. Would you mind giving me a couple words as a testimonial that I can put on the site so I could get some referrals? Sure, be happy to, right? That guy looks at that thing every day in his house. I'm sure he'd give you a couple words.
Yeah.
You don't have to say underneath Russian oligarch. They'll probably get it from the pictures of,
Yeah, exactly.
That was a quick sneak peek into our Intimate Sundays. Everybody just gets to share what they're working on, any like hangups they had over the previous material of the lecture. And Richard Grove is doing what he does best, is helping people. He is able to give some feedback on whatever it is that they're chomping on. And then what's really great is like there's a whole community that will then hear what's going on and then hit them up from the side and send them a direct message and say, oh, I heard you're working on that. Here's a solution. Have you tried this? Check this out. Rod, what up, my man?
Hey, Joshua, how you doing?
I'm doing well. So you're working on building a website too, right? For your brother-in-law, was that right?
For my cousin. Yeah, I've been working on building him a website. Yeah.
Nice. Now, what brought about the desire to offer building a website?
Well, I need his services, and I didn't want to pay for him, and he needed a website. So I don't have much experience building the website, but I was like, I can figure it out. So let's trade.
Nice.
And here we are. So he already had a domain name and everything. He had bought a while ago, and so I just used that. And you mentioned the site map. So I built the site map.
Sweet.
And I was just kind of gonna go a little copy pasting with some sites and see, and kind of build his and go from there.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, there's several other people in the course that are building websites. I build websites for a living, so I saw you taking your baby steps, and more than happy to like throw out and offer some direction because, man, I spent a long time. I had my own business and I had to figure out how to build my own website because I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. So it took me like 7 months, I think, before it was like worthy of sharing with anybody. But
well, it's funny you say that because I have a website for the podcast that I kind of threw together using Wix, and Wix, it was pretty easy to do with Wix. And so, but it's completely different when you're doing it for someone else and for someone's business. So I kind of want to be more meticulous, let's say, with it.
Awesome. Yeah, the issue with Wix is it's not an issue, but it's very easy out of the box. Anybody can like figure it out relatively quickly. But typically when you buy the website, you'll buy it through them and they will own your domain. And so once you build the website and then you want to transfer it, oftentimes those simple build a page or build a website sites, you have to start all over from scratch if you transition out of there. And they've gotten a lot better, but like SEO is still an issue with those build a sites, and they just don't have the capabilities that something like WordPress does. So
yeah, so when I started, I didn't know any of that. I was just trying to obviously just get the site up and going.
Yeah.
And the domain is owned by GoDaddy, so I do own the domain at least. But
sweet.
everything else, like you said, is through Wix. So with my practice, eventually, if I want to migrate it or when I migrate it, I'll have some skills and I can, revamp it and make it even more my own.
Yeah, awesome. Well, there's lots of people that are learning to do websites. I have my favorite is WordPress with a Divi theme. Divi has, probably about 400 different layouts that come out of the box. So you can literally start with a pre-made layout and then bring in your branding and your copy and kind of take it over from there and make it your own. But at least it gives you a starting place so you don't have to just start from scratch, because that can be really overwhelming. Cool, Rod. Did you catch last Sunday's Q&A? Was there any points that stood out to you?
Yeah, I did. And no, I think I asked my question if I had one Sunday. So no, nothing stood out. Well, I remember.
Cool. I'm going to move right along then. I got some more clips to share.
I'm just going to.
Next up, we got the truth about American history in 150 minutes.
Cliff, I'm just going to go over a couple more. I'm just going to take a break like I did a second ago with the meta learning. So one thing you might not know is that this is a portrait of Paul Revere. He has a big impact on American history, but you might not really know that. It might be hard to remember that. So one thing that might make it easier is if you kind of associate him with someone who's more familiar to you. So this is Jack Black. He's very familiar in modern American culture. He's an actor. And if you compare their faces, might make it more memorable. I don't know. Personally, I do see a strong resemblance there, but that's just one technique I like to use, just like I showed earlier. Oh yeah, and I did leave this one thing out. Okay, so John Wycliffe actually lives through the period of the Black Death. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. It begins in the 1350s. There is plague, which is potentially spread by an army coming from the Mongols in Asia. So the narrative that's commonly given is that the Mongols are invading this Balkan state. I forget where it is. It's near Turkey. And then they get a disease. They catapult someone with that disease into the enemy fortress that they're besieging. And then that disease spreads to those people, and eventually rats or ticks or something carry it to Europe. It's very disputed because there's a lot of suspicious aspects of the Black Death. So one of them is that it moved over the Swiss Alps, and it did that at a rate of 2 miles a day, which for a rat would be a heroic task, or really anyone even. And it's a little suspicious. It also moved over oceans into Iceland and Greenland and persisted for hundreds of years. So there's a man named Gabriel de Mussy, who basically most of our understanding is based off of, that theory at least is based off of his first-person account of them catapulting the person into the fortress, the bodies, before they withdrew. Their army had been decimated. And actually, there's science now that demonstrates that there's this certain gene mutation that makes people immune to HIV and to the Black Death. I was looking pretty hard into this, and I couldn't find the accounts, but I have also read accounts of people witnessing people in black cloaks waving staffs that had it's like a scythe-looking staff, and they would wave those staffs around the villages prior to the disease spreading there. and I can't source that just yet. I did see it in a YouTube video at some point. I'm going to look more into that. That is what I believe the basis, though, for why so many people believe sorcery and witchcraft to be behind the Black Death, because, again, it does last for hundreds of years, and the rate of spread is very quick, and you also see like it popping up and then leaving and then coming back. Very strange behavior. Hard to really explain in modern epidemiological terms.
That was by Gabriel Schmidt. He put on a over 2 hour walkthrough of history, American history. That was really fascinating. What he was pointing out was aspects of history I've never heard before. And I really liked his comparison of faces and breakdown of faces. I found that really fascinating. Rob, were you able to catch that at all?
Yeah, it was me and I think Damian who kind of egged Gabriel on with that presentation. And yeah, no, it was fascinating. It was really dope to for him to kind of go through all of that and to see, like you said, the facial, the reincarnation, and as weaving spirituality into the whole thing and going back 1300s basically to 1776. So yeah, I thought that was really, really dope.
I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, goes to show what happens here. Like, we all have our own interests, and one of the best ways to actually like really embed information into your head is to organize it and present it and teach it to others, because then it really locks in through that whole process for yourself, and you get to share that knowledge and wisdom with the rest of the community. The Truth About the History of the United States and America in 150 Minutes is now in the extras section in the lecture or in the course. So you can all catch that at your own leisure if you missed that. Definitely check it out. By the way, I chose the name of the presentation because Gabriel didn't have anything. He was just going to call it the history of the United States. And I found this headline generator that I'm playing with. So if you need some ideas for a title for anything, give me like a subject and I'll crank out like 10 different options for you that will be sensationalized and stop people in their tracks, because there is a ton of information out there and everything's vying for your attention, and you really do have to have a clear signal in all that noise. So don't be shy with your headlines. Next up, we got Town Hall. Town Hall happens Monday through Friday on a separate COVID server. I started that near the beginning of this whole pandemic thing going on, and glad I did. My intention was, I saw this was turning into a rather large event, and I didn't want the narrative within the autonomy community, within the autonomy communication server, to just completely be hijacked by current events. So I started that COVID server, and it's a very healthy community over there. People are constantly sharing current events and resources and interviews and doing research live and sharing their results. Really, really wealthy resource. And I now got some support. I got Chris McMillan helping me co-host that. And Lawrence stepped up this last week. He's helping me co-host. I got a lot of irons in the stove, and so I requested some support, and I got it. I did host Friday, and it was pretty exciting that Chris McMillan, he just found this new course on Coursera on how to be a contact tracer. I believe here in Washington State, where I am, the governor is paying Army. He's got like 2,000 contact tracers with a mixture of National Guard and healthcare workers that are going out and they're tracing and contacting people associated with COVID-19. But this online course is free. It's about 4-hour educational piece. It's put on by the Johns Hopkins University, so it's got clout behind it, and you can pay $50 and get a certificate. My guess is, though, that certificate, like, you don't have a job waiting for you. It might be a prerequisite for people that are getting paid by the state, but this is anybody can learn how to be a contact tracer and report their neighbors. So what I wanted to show, though, was just a little insight.
Let's talk about autonomy.
Because we did a deep dive into the course, and lo and behold, this teacher defines what autonomy is, and I found this quite revealing at what it is to mean be a contact tracer. Check this out.
Autonomy legally means the right of a person to make their own decisions. It's also known as the right to self or as agency. And what this really means is that each person can make their own decisions. This is true unless the decisions they make or the things they do can harm someone else. And we all know that this is true. And in the case of contact tracing, it means that people can make their own decisions, but if they're not isolating themselves or not quarantining themselves, that could harm someone else. It does put other people at risk. So they do have some limits on their autonomy or their ability to make their own decisions within the context of contact tracing. So where does autonomy show up in contact tracing? Where will you encounter it? Well, you're requesting someone to quarantine, and you're requesting cases to isolate themselves from others. So you'll try to convince them of this, but in some circumstances, these may be mandated or enforced. And that's because it's not entirely up to the person to make their own decisions about what they do if what they do can harm others. So here's a place where we have to balance, again, individual rights and protecting the health of the public.
My opinion is that's not the definition of autonomy. So, but that was a very wish-washy definition in my opinion. And that kind of really went for what the jugular of what contact tracers are able to do. I know here in Washington State, I found someone shared a document showing they have the right to come inside your house if they feel it's to protect the greater good. Check your local state, see what the rules are where you are. But this is what we talk about here during the week in town hall. So just want to share that little clip with you, and stay tuned next week. We do it Monday through Friday. Next up, we have lots of guest speakers now popping up. This is what tends to happen in autonomy. The season starts off, everybody's a bit shy, and they slowly start coming out of their shell and then start sharing really great presentations and informations and special events, and there's all this synergy going on in the community. But this week, Tony Myers kicked off his Trivium presentation. It's going to be a 4-part series, and we got to have the first taste of this last week on on consciousness and I didn't write that part down, the title, but it's a precursor to grammar, logic, and rhetoric. So I got a little clip. We can check this out and talk about it.
The trivium from that history. This, again, I believe I took mostly from Sister Miriam Joseph and Gino Denning. So the trivium, the liberal arts denote the 7 branches of knowledge that initiate the young into a life of learning. The concept is classical, but the term liberal arts and division of the arts into the trivium and quadrivium date from the Middle Ages, as I've just shown. The trivium includes those aspects of the liberal arts that pertain to mind, grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar is the art of organizing a given body of data into basic language units. Logic is the science and art of correct thinking, of taking that given body of data and applying it to reason to remove the contradictions and find the truth in any given body of data. And rhetoric is the art of communicating the facts of knowledge from one mind to another. I think it's important to note the essential characteristic of the trivium, that these are aspects or arts of the mind itself, of language, of consciousness itself, of pure abstraction. Although it's based on physical reality, it's about the way in which we interact with physical reality and form an idea of it and then communicate it through language. Purely in mentality, purely abstract, purely immaterial. And later on, we're going to get to Leonard Peikoff, who explains why it is immaterial. And I think he did an unbelievable job of explaining it. So I will reserve it for that. Now, quickly, I just want to give you a brief overview of what the quadrivium is. We will not be going into that through these presentations. However, if people are interested after the trivium presentations are over, I could potentially break out and to do a quadrivium presentation or a series of presentations on the 4 arts of the quadrivium, and or more specific presentations into the arts of the trivium, like, for example, logic or rhetoric. But just very quickly, what the quadrivium is those aspects of the liberal arts that pertain to matter, very simply. So one pertains to mind, what's held in mentality only as ideas and then communicated in language. And another one has to do with the arts of matter, or extension of measurement, quantity and quality. And this includes arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy.
The trivium was actually the white rabbit that led me into the Tragedy and Hope community and come across Richard's work all those years ago now. But I heard about it. Oh, it was from Passio, and then stumbled through some rabbit holes. But then I wanted to learn more. It seemed like one of the most concrete methods to be able to critically think that I had come across. Hadn't really come across a whole lot prior to that, and even then, finding the Tragedy and Hope community and like finding resources here and there, trying to conceptualize what it was still very difficult to try and understand the depth of what each section, grammar, logic, and rhetoric, meant. Richard's done an amazing job at being able to just very simply describe it. Tony is now going through those in a very meticulous manner to help conceptualize what each of these aspects are, how they fit together, and how you can use it and integrate it into your life. And I've slowly been just diving deeper into the depth of what they all are and how they all work together. So I'm excited for Tony's continued presentations. I didn't get to catch them in season 1 when he had them, and we never got a recording of those. So I'm very excited to be catching them this time, and that they're going to be a part of the course moving forward. Anybody on the call have anything they want to share about the trivium presentation? Great.
I'm just looking forward to hearing it.
Oh, nice. So, big surprise. I just got done editing, mastering it, and uploading it. And so after this Do It Live podcast, I'm going to publish it, and everybody can check it out for those that didn't catch it, or watch it a second time, because it's really good.
Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Friday night's lecture. Friday night, probably not the most, but before I started Autonomy, I didn't know what sales was. Well, I really didn't, because what I thought it was the dirty car salesman and manipulation tactics and being able to get worked over by somebody that liked to talk. coming into autonomy and learning about what sales with integrity is was very reassuring, because it was already something I was doing. I had already started my business. I was helping people service them with digital marketing, and I then was able to realize that it's helping people, and I love to help people. This is like part of my makeup. It's part of my passion, and this is something I naturally want to do. And it also showed me what I was still weak in, what I was still lacking in my ability to help others, was to ask for my own self-worth. I'd always be very giving, and I would never ask for my self-worth, meaning that I would happily help you out, but then I'd be too timid to ask for anything for my time, energy. And so I've always had a difficult time having money in my life, not feeling abundant, but I was very willing to bend over backwards and help everybody else around me. And what I've learned with that is, by giving them a chance to be able to reciprocate the energy of me giving solutions and value, then they have an opportunity to help me out. And I was doing them a disfavor by not allowing them to have that value exchange to take place, because people, on the other side of things, people don't want to like take advantage of other people. But if the situation worked out that way, they would feel disproportionate in the value that was exchanged. And so by providing value and then putting an offer on the table of like, if you'd like to know more, I offer consulting. I can show you where more information is, but if you want me to do it for you, I'm $50 an hour. To be able to put that offer on the table gives them a chance to reciprocate that value. Very tough lesson. It's something I never really learned until autonomy, and being able to have my voice and be able to have that exchange take place. Anybody on the call have the similar experience, or what do they think about sales? What do you think about sales? Hi, Agnieszka.
I have the same experience. I don't know if it was my own value that I didn't value. I'm more comfortable working without money exchange. I want to help people. I honestly want to help people. I want to do things for people. I wish that the money thing was just something that didn't have to happen or happened automatically as a by the way, because that way I could feel comfortable in just providing value without having to have this conversation. Can you afford me? Can you not afford me? Like that whole thing. I want to help you, but I'm $100 an hour. I'm $50 an hour. And now you can't afford me. So too bad. Only the rich can afford. That doesn't make, you know what I mean? But maybe it's just because I'm not grown up enough to understand that whole system properly.
I hear you, and my journey through that, I'm now at a point where I'm now able to put that offer on the table and then watch their response and their reaction. And I know that like I can't afford this look and feeling so well from living it for so long, that I at least put that offer out on the table and then watch their response. And when they like clam up because this is something they could never afford, I then can change that offer and like follow up with it. But I'm not assuming.
You have a good experience with that. Like, okay, so say that happens and you change the offer. Is then does that then become a good customer relationship? Or do you find that once you change the original offer to a cheaper offer, the customer relationship suffers because of it?
So this just happened 2 weeks ago. A friend of a friend was referred to me, wanted to have like start a brand. And so we had a like hour-long conversation. And I was pulling questions out of him or answers out of him. And then I said, so like, how much money do you have to put towards this? And he was like, I'm like living off the beach and I'm in Australia traveling and I really like don't have anything to put towards this. Or like, and I said, okay. I used to would have been like, okay, don't worry about it. I'm still going to completely help you and bend over backwards. This time I was able to stand firm and say like, I would love to support you in your vision, and best way I can do this is just tell you what steps you need to do to accomplish this. So I didn't like bleeding heart commit to fulfilling his project, but I gave him steps on moving forward, and then also told him my prices. So that gives him an opportunity to come back and work with me if he finds the resources to do that. And that was the first time I like had a clear boundary of like, okay, I'm not going to be married to your project because you don't have resources right now to pay me. Does that answer your question? Or you're more specifically talking about not budging on your prices, because typically people will always try and
No. I'm not saying we shouldn't budge on our prices or whatever, but I think that there's a more sophisticated, or that's the wrong word. I'm sorry, I should not have used that word. More a higher level way of approaching it, where we could maybe parcel it out and say, okay, you can't afford that right now. Cool. What can you afford? Okay, for 50, let's like, how much a month can you afford? $50 a month? Let's see what we can do with $50 a month. If we work diligently, you do your homework, I help you out for $50 a month. In a year, this project will be ended. How does that sound to you? Or something. I think there is a higher level communication to do with it, but I'm still learning it. Although I just quoted somebody $250 to edit a PDF and they accepted it. And it seemed like they didn't really blink an eye. But I sold it in a way. I said, this is how many hours it'll take. My hourly rate is this. And at the end, you have a complete PDF with a table of contents. It'll look professional. You'll have a cover page. And then now I'm thinking, well, I think it'll even take longer than that. But And then the guy's like, well, let's do it piece by piece. I'll give you section 1 and then edit that. And I'm thinking, that's probably going to cost you more than $250, but okay, I'll do real time section 1. You know what I mean? Because the real time might actually, I don't know, but it's always like a thing, right? Like I was talking about that earlier today. Like sometimes I know that they only want to spend an hour on something, but I want to have I want it to look a little bit better. So I spent 15 or 20 minutes of my own time to bring it up to the level that for me, not for them. I don't care about them, but I want stuff that comes out of this churn to be like at this level. They're not willing to pay that much. So
do you track time in your projects?
Really badly. I'm poorly,
me too.
Maybe a D.
Yeah.
Maybe a D.
I'm usually doing like 10 different projects in an hour. So it takes more time to like start a timer than
I work on many things at once. I often get disconnected, distracted. So most of the time I'm like, well, that should have taken an hour. So I'm billing for an hour. I think that's worth an hour.
The reason I asked is because, yes, it's an acquired skill to be able to estimate how long is something going to take, especially if you're connecting an hourly wage to your estimate when you're bidding on a project like that. And that's where, like you're saying, you can get yourself in trouble where you're spending an extra hour to get the quality up to what you want to deliver, but you underbidded yourself.
Well, this is a bit of my Achilles heel. Like, excuse me. It's hard for me to estimate things. Like, how long will it take to drive from here to there, or how many minutes will it take to bake a cake, or whatever, you know? And it seems to like not, like, I don't know, maybe it's my ADD brain, but it doesn't seem to be match reality. Sometimes to make a cake will take me 10 minutes, and sometimes it'll take me 45 minutes, but it's the same cake. So what happened, right? Like, how did that work out? Well, there were also these 5 things that I happened to do along the way, you know what I mean? And so guesstimating time, how much time something is going to take, especially with something like a PDF, that could be very troublesome. At the same time, that's pleasant work. So even if I have to do an extra hour, I'm like, is it really that bad? I'm still getting the $250, right?
And why do you prefer hourly over package, like a package deal?
Because it's my Achilles heel, and when I have to estimate something really, really large, I often used to get myself in trouble. So I just stopped doing it. Now, this is not the perfect way of doing it, and I know there's a better way of doing it, but it's like a growth process. Like, at first I was making these mistakes, and then I learned to fix those mistakes, and I'm doing it this way now. But I know that there's a better way, but I'm right here. You know, I'm in grade 3, but I want to be in grade 4, but the school year is not quite yet over. Like, I'm still figuring out how to do it.
Yeah, you and me both. Like, when I started Autonomy Unlimited, I was able to draw upon the hours of my freelancers to help come up with packages, because I had data from the previous year on how long it took the team to do particular tasks. So I was able to do that, and with a formula, come up with a package that works for the time being. But before then, I was totally flying blind too, and I was the one who was paying for that constantly. Like, I was the one staying up late just to make sure it's deliverable and not getting paid.
Remind me to send you these 2 videos I accidentally stumbled upon yesterday.
Okay.
Very interesting. But about the prices and stuff, I think that, I don't know, it's a very complex issue, right? It has to do with societal pressure and self-worth and estimation, like the ability to estimate time or estimate effort, right? And then also you have to calculate in the organizational aspect of it, but people don't want to pay for that. So you have to somehow figure it in without saying, oh, I'm charging you an extra $50 to like make this happen, because it needs organizational work behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's a complex issue.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're terribly prepared coming out of school, especially for me. Like, nobody that I knew growing up had business. Like, I don't think it was even encouraged to have businesses in Eastern Europe at the time. So, and nobody in the history of my family had ever had a business, right? Like, nobody.
Yeah.
No great, like going back to great grandparents. I mean, they had a farm, and some great grandparents were in court, like lady of the court, whatever. That's not real, like a business. It's not a real job either. Right? So where do you get the information? Like, where do you get the
There's no wisdom coming down from before us.
You guys
same
here. If you all need some Emeraldy project management, we can fix you up.
Yeah, you say so.
Estimation methodology.
How do you capture wind, Tim? How do you capture wind?
I would love to just be told what to do, Tim.
Well, there is a method.
When it comes to finances and money, I would love a hard number. Be like, sorry, the boss says this. Like, can't fight them.
That's what a good personal assistant is supposed to do.
Yeah.
I love that you have kept track of how long it takes people to do tasks, because that's the building blocks for a good estimation.
Yeah,
And
that's juicy data.
yeah, it really is. But you can thumb in the wind it as well, which works pretty well if you have a method. And there's lots of methods out there. Uh, I would rather not do that, but I've been forced to do it in the past. So if you guys want a spreadsheet, a very emeraldy spreadsheet or estimation method, I can really hook you up with something.
I told him earlier today he should sell those spreadsheets, because when Tim makes a spreadsheet, it's like I'm good with spreadsheets, but his spreadsheets are a whole new level. Like,
it has graphs, it has pictures,
you should see
it has
his
dancing
workout
bears and
spreadsheet.
fireworks.
Like, just the thing that he tracks his workout with is like it's like a program.
You do something over here and it does something over there. Yeah.
Yeah, but also like how many variables it calculates, like, you know, time spent with family and all of these, like it has like 100 different variables that he tracks. It's just
cool. Well, yeah, Tim, I'll definitely hit you up. I'm actually meeting with my new personal assistant on Monday and going to get her set up and integrated, and she's going to be able to offer me some administration assistance too, but she'll help me keep that going. So whatever you can assist us with, Tim, I'll definitely appreciate.
Good stuff. We'll book some time out this week.
But
Cool.
Joshua, now you can say that there's a boss behind you because you have a team, right? So like, sorry, I talked to the group and I'm sorry, I can't give you 20% off, you know?
Yeah, well,
Wasn't voted in.
honestly, like I've undercutted myself for so long. Like I'm usually, no one's ever trying to barter me for or haggle me with prices. I haven't ran into that yet. And my last meeting this last week was with a previous client that I've been working with for 2 years, and I basically pitched her our new marketing methods and painted the picture for a full hour. They were really interested, and I was meeting their objections and concerns. And then I said, because you're a previous client, I want to maintain our current monthly payment, and I'm just going to require $2,000 for a setup fee to get this going. And she's like, great. Okay, thanks. Let me talk to my partner about this and we'll get started. I was like, oh, I felt proud because my original thought was like, I'm just going to do all this extra work and not charge them anything more than their monthly. And
I should have asked for $3,000.
I should have, yeah. Totally.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you ever get turned down because the price is too high? Do you make a habit of getting yourself turned down because the price is too high? If one in every 5 or 10 bids were turned down because the price were too high, think about how much better your margins might be.
Yeah, I've never been turned down because my prices are too high. And that's the thing. Yeah.
That means your prices are too low.
Right. Right.
I had a customer question my prices once or twice. Somebody would say, wow, that's a lot of money an hour. Like, how do you justify that? I'm like, and my answer was, there are plenty of people on Upwork who have lower prices. Why aren't you speaking with them?
That's
like,
a good
you want this quality, you want this level of experience, and you want an English speaking person in a Western country. If you don't want that, there are people in Bangladesh jumping at the bit to get your business. So you can work with me or you can work with somebody in Bangladesh. It's totally up to you. Don't worry, I won't charge for this session and I'll still totally help you out if you ever need it.
I think we all have that fear, though, of being rejected because of the perceived quality or price of our services. But I think this is the autonomy feeling of moving through the discomfort to a better place for ourselves. If we can just kind of embrace that discomfort, walk through it, get some rejections, collect our failures, we'll probably get a higher price for our services.
Well, we got to raise our prices soon anyway, because as soon as inflation starts coming in, we're going to have to stay ahead of that. I'm counting on Josh to like be this, like spearhead this, because I know he's got the eagle eye going, and I'm kind of like, I'm not really in the loop with that kind of thing, but I'm sure he'll tell me as soon as like, oh, it's time to raise our prices. Money's going to shit.
Raise them now and tell them it's inflation.
Well, and this was in last night's slides. Like, currency is what we agree upon, right? So even if money does go to shit, we still we know how to barter, we know how to trade, we can get the things that we need because we have these skills that are valuable in this day and age to be able to transact.
Yeah. Without leaving the house.
Yeah.
But I want to redo my whole thing to a personal brand. Like, instead of shine your brand, like, it's cool and it's snazzy and people like it, but it's not really me. And so that's your
tagline?
No, the whole website, the whole thing, the whole business, everything. I mean, what I do is me, but the way I present it on like LinkedIn or whatever, it's not necessarily me. So I want to change the whole story. Like, I'm reading Story Brand, and I'm reading personal branding books, watching some personal branding videos, and also have a notepad with my ideas. And I've had sessions with a number of people in autonomy.
Isn't Deirdre? Doesn't she love to do that?
I haven't had a session with her. I've had session with Chris, one with Joshua Hogarth, with Tim, a couple, and just like brainstorming, throwing ideas about, making notes. And some of their suggestions are not like super awesome, but they take me down a path to a new suggestion, a new thing, you know what I mean? And it's still very valuable.
Helping, like getting an outside perspective of how you're perceived.
Yeah. Yeah, and also how I should, like, yeah.
Rod, this is the first time that you've came in contact with sales from autonomy. Like, did you catch last night's lecture, and how did that change the way that you thought of sales?
This is interesting because can you hear me? I'm not me. Okay, yeah. It's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, I think I asked Richard about sales and everything like that, because I had an instance where I was working installing wide format printers, and I was at a trade show in Vegas. And so, with trade shows and things like that, all of the vendors are there. So we went out with some vendors for, is it Epson? One of the big printing companies or whatever. And one of their, one of the guys who made the dye sublimation printing anyway, but he's like a big wig in the printing world. And he asked me, he's like, because I had just been talking, throughout the trade show or whatever to whoever would listen to me talk, I guess. And he had asked me, why aren't you in sales? Like, you should be on the sales team. You should be selling stuff. And I was like, how? No, I didn't think nothing of it, because I had that idea of what sales is. And so, with Rich talking about everything, and it kind of struck out to me that he said that. I hadn't thought about that for a couple of years, because it was a few years ago. But during autonomy and everything, I have been kind of thinking about, like, this guy that I just met that doesn't know me from a can of paint, right? He suggested that I be in sales. And I heard it from somewhere else too. And so I was kind of spinning my wheels a bit about, okay, maybe it's something that I should be, trying to, dip my toe in and see.
Did you think Boiler Room?
Boiler Room. I'm not familiar.
That movie, Boiler Room, is all about sales, but it's about like dirty sales.
No, I haven't seen that.
All right. Put it on your queue.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll look into it.
It's what not to do.
So for me, I'm just kind of, again, especially this lecture, I'm going to listen to it again because I was working and listened to the lecture last night. So I was kind of in and out, So I'm definitely, like I say, I would like to try sales, I guess, or, again, just see what it's about. Because if it's essentially talking to people and solving problems, then I do that all the time, and that's talking to people is nothing to me. When I was back home in Chicago, random people would just talk to me. Like I had like a speak here sign on my face, so I don't mind it, At first in my mind, I'm like, oh, don't talk to me. But when they come talk, I have no problem sparking up a conversation. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what it's about.
Yeah, as I get more and more experience with it, I'm really enjoying it. We just, from Sabri Subri's course, I just got a sales script and I'm able to customize it into for us in particular. And it's I really like having a good format, and it really is just like 80% just get them talking and ask them really good questions. The better the questions, like the easier it is, because you're just sitting back taking notes and finding ways to really like connect at first. And I just really enjoy the whole experience of connection, and then opening it up, and then just like tapping into the floodgates when they're just talking and talking and talking, and then being able to then put that offer out there. Like I was pretty nervous last week on several calls because I'm providing much more value now, and so I'm raising my prices accordingly. And I'm learning about the pause. You, with confidence, say the price and shut up.
and it's funny you mentioned that, because a couple months ago I had a meeting with my job about a raise. They have your review basically, and before the review, I was talking to some, a guy who used to work for my company, but he doesn't anymore. But he's still around. And I had in my head, I had all these. Yeah, I'm gonna go ask for, I'm gonna ask for $8 raise, and all this stuff. And all I could muster up was in the call. All I could muster up was asking for an extra week of PTO, and it was just like, I was just like, at the end, I was like, oh man, damn, I wish I would have, like I said, spoke up. I had all of these ideas, or I ran these scenarios in my head, but.
And they still kind of dodged you, right?
Yeah, yep. I'm still trying to get that out, but like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna get an email together and send it over to my mentor.
Be more direct. Yeah.
And get that figured out. But so yeah, it's definitely, I wish, I would have had a little experience a couple months ago, and maybe I would have a couple extra dollars in my pocket.
Walked out of there. Yeah.
But no,
ask
yeah,
for definitely next tomorrow. Why don't you ask for the full meal deal tomorrow?
Your time off and your raise?
Well, I already got the raise. It was the max raise that they usually give, but the guy I was talking to, he had a direct to Cisco basically contract, and so his contract was worth a little bit more than mine. Is why I think they hooked him up, but mine isn't that contract, obviously. So I still got the max that they usually give, which is the $4. But I wanted to be like him and get, $8, $9, raise. So yeah, personally, I just want to start. I want to get some traction and some easy wins. So asking for another $4 before my next year review and the PTO just seems like a bit much. So if I can just get them to nail down the PTO, that'll give me the confidence I need. And I'm building up my skills now. So when the next year, February rolls around again, if I'm still on the same contract, and I don't, they don't, because the way I look at it is that they don't have to support me while I'm out in the field. So I'm an easy paycheck for them. So give me a bigger cut because you're not doing much, right?
Yeah.
Is my logic. So yeah, this is all gonna it's all going to play out eventually. I'm not too concerned about it. I'm not worried about it in a sense. I just want to continue to build my skills. And like I said, I want to dip my toe into some sales opportunities or, figure that out and see what, the course has to offer or what comes along and go from there. Because if it's about conversing and listening to people, I'm good at that. I have a thing I say all the time, you can find out anything about anybody, just listen to them talk. Just listen to them and they'll tell you everything you need to know about them. So, and I'm pretty good at doing that.
Yeah. Once you got that, then you insert that offer, and you can't insert that offer if they're not friendly with you, right? So that first part's a requirement, and that's the like skill and can be really difficult for people to get out there, connect, and be able to build that rapport with people is an acquired skill. I used to think that small talk was like a waste of time, stupid, and very like inauthentic. And I thought it was stupid. Like, why do I care what you think about the weather? Like, why would I care about that? And I came across a book of the Art of Small Talk was what it was called. Short book, but reading that totally like helped me understand that you can't get to the deeper conversations without first entering the shallow water. So being able to understand that that's part of the process, and that's just the icebreaker stuff that you put out there and start to get to know what things you have in common in order for those deeper conversations to take place. A light bulb went off and I was like, oh, that's why it's important. That's why I care about what you think about the weather.
Yeah, and at work even I have a thing. I'm like the king of cliches and like lame jokes or like happy hump day, and Friday's the best day of the week. Just that kind of,
easy
small talk.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, plenty of people who see me all the time. Oh, almost Friday, that kind of thing. In my mind, like whatever. But I see what you're saying about you need the small talk to get to the bigger thing.
Yeah, because if you just come up to somebody and start talking about 9/11, whoa, buddy, whoa. Like what you were speaking about also reminded me of my 20s and being a DJ downtown Seattle. And I was always getting shafted with getting paid at the end of the night, freaking 2:00 in the morning. The promoter would be whatever, like, hey bro, sorry, I really didn't make that much. I can only give you like $20 and I'll buy you your like 3 drinks. And I would always been like, just take it like, oh, it's cool, man. I get it. No problem, bro. Thanks for having me out. I would always be like in that position of just bending over for them. And in reflection, I now see it was because of my own demeanor, and I was putting off that vibe to where like, it's cool. Josh is cool, man. Like he'll put up with it and by not standing up for myself, by not being direct and being assertive, I was constantly like I had that air about me before the even conversation took place. And just like what you were saying, like when you go into that situation where you're wanting to like ask for a raise and you don't have that confidence, you don't have that like clear goal, and you come at them wishy-washy, you end up like putting out the excuses for them to where like, oh, well, yeah, like maybe now's not a good time, guy, to where you're giving them the excuses they need to dismiss you. And that's something I've had to recognize and address. And now I can be much more assertive and stand up for myself and be like, no, you actually, we agreed on this amount. I need that. No, I provided the value. Now I request my pay. And if you need some assistance, like, you can pay me half now and half later, but I'm not going to just let you buy me a few drinks and call it good.
Yeah, and then one more thing, and then I'm done. And with that, and kind of in reflection of that moment and everything, what I didn't do, I didn't have a list of accomplishments, a list of things that I've done, and, you know, to be like, hey, this is the value I provide. I did this. I don't call you ever for this, then the third, and if I do, you actually don't provide me any value. You actually waste my time when I reach out to you. When I reach out to you, I just need one thing answered, and you asking me more questions than I'm asking you. And I could have just Googled it, you know, in the time that I spent talking to you. So there's something else, like you said, with not being assertive and not having clear goals or clear value you provide. So yeah, again, and it all comes back to confidence, right? And it's all coming back to confidence, because for a while I was just grateful for the opportunity that they gave me, you know, at the job to get the job. But I earned this job, you know. I earned it. They didn't give me anything, you know. I did the work and I got to where I am, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a learning experience, you know. And I'm grateful for it.
Blew my mind.
I am grateful for it. What was that?
You just blew my mind, because I remember time, like, I mean, I haven't worked in like a real job for many years. But I remember a long time ago working for IBM and being upset with my boss that she did not remember my accomplishments throughout like the quarter or whatever. And I remember saying, well, what do you mean? What about this? And what about this? And what about this? But I had this attitude, right? Like, I didn't come prepared. I didn't have it written down. I wasn't prepared for the interview at all. I just sauntered in there hoping I'm going to get a good review with zero preparation, zero forethought, just expecting my boss to do all the work and just sitting there receiving the stuff from her, not taking charge at all, like a good little slave. And you're just saying, yeah, I have to prepare for the next review in February, and this is what I'm going to write down, and I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, wow, you can, like, even in a regular job, you can take charge. So the point is not that what you do for a living, but whether you take charge of your life or not.
Yeah, it works both ways. You can either like come out them without confidence and giving them the excuses of like, well, so maybe, yeah, like I've been working hard, yeah. Or come in there, boom, boom, boom. This is the reasons why you want to keep me. Yeah, give them those reasons and makes it easy for them.
Quarterly earnings were up by 10%, and I deduct that is because of my hard work in the area. If you look at the area, blah, 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 you know, things are done faster by 10%.
I've already called your competition and they've given me a job offer.
Right, and end with that.
Yeah, and that also kind of goes to my kind of leisurely attitude, right? I'm kind of, yeah, you know, it'll get done, kind of, but no, I have to address that, and especially in things that are, like you say, not important, but in things where my service is being provided or whatever, I need to not be so laissez-faire about it. It's kind of like, yeah, whatever. Because that's just me, you know, but that's me in the sense of you'll get it in time and all this kind of thing. But no, there's a balance you have to take with that kind of attitude. And so I'm definitely gonna, like I say, prepare and have a much better presentation and come in and say, all right, this is what I did in the past few years, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I just think I deserve. This is what I deserve. And if you can't meet me there, I have, you know, other contracts, other people waiting. So what's up?
And once you stand up for yourself and start being assertive, gaining that confidence, people then start assuming
they respect that. People only do what you let them do, right? You know,
Right.
and in a bigger sense, societal wise, we let all of this stuff happen to us in a sense. You know, if we stood up and, you know, everybody had their guns down and like, nah, we're not having that. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay, you're
Yeah,
right.
you know
You got it,
what's
boss.
weird? Like in a situation like autonomy where we're among friends and we know each other, our actual work is what matters, right? Like whether I write well or mediocre, my writing will matter. But in reality, in like outside world with the customers, the perception is weighs like 80% and the actual work is 20%. So if you blow smoke up their ass, you can do nothing for 6 months. I've seen people do this, but I'm not saying you should do this. What I'm saying is, even if you do a great job, still blow smoke up their ass. Because if you do a great job and you don't blow smoke up their ass, they'll think you're average. Because it's all about perception. It's all selling. It's all media. You're trying to present yourself in a specific way. And, you know, like in these books that I'm reading about personal branding, they're like everything from what you wear to what you do, every single thing is on brand or off brand, right? And the stronger your brand, the more trustworthy, the more persuasive you are as a human being, the more opportunities and doors open up for you.
It's funny you say that because that made me think about that Guy Ritchie interview. And ever since then, I'm like, man, I need to go get me a couple of suits. And just
Not necessarily. You don't necessarily need a suit. What you need is something that screams Rod.
Oh yeah, no, but it's always been something of kind of my goal or an ideal of myself to walk around in a suit and be like, you know, I'm a boss, you know, and I look like it, you know. So
yeah. Whereas
it's all synchronistic.
I've always covered up the need for a suit with eccentricity, so I would wear something that could pass for a suit. That isn't.
See, I'll have a suit and like red hair, so I'm gonna still always have a touch of Rod always.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for this really great conversation. I enjoyed having some real talk with y'all. I look forward to this coming week. We got the Trivium presentation continuing on. We have Lisa Manfredi is going to be giving some presentations on money and wealth that I'm really excited about. I actually had a call with her today. She zoomed in with me and my whole family and was able to give us some feedback on finances that my in-laws found really helpful. So I look forward to learning more about that because my relationship with money is growing and I really want to continue on developing methods in order to get smart with my financial intelligence.
You're a great role model for all of us.
Oh, thanks. I want to end this on something really cool that's about to drop. We're really close to having this PDF done, 19 skills not taught in school. This was taken from one of Richard's presentations, and this is going to be our new lead generator. It's going to be our high value content offer where we will be able to share, exchange value for this PDF for an email, and that will be the first touch with getting them warmed up to autonomy and what that really is. I just got this page built and I'm quite happy with it. The copy is from Subri's course. I'm happy with the design. You'll be able to take a closer look at it and download your copy here, I'd like to say in this coming week. And then we're going to be turning this funnel on. And the steps will be, you'll see an ad for this PDF. You'll come here, you'll download. Agnieszka, you and I will talk this Monday, and we'll be connecting this download button to Infusionsoft so that when they sign up, they then go into the Infusionsoft software and starts the email campaign. And then
Wait. What would it look like if the button had black writing instead of white writing on it?
Oh, I bet it probably, I'm writing that down. Okay, well, you can give us feedback on Monday. I'm just doing a show off. And then after you get that PDF, then you come to another landing page that will give you reasons to set up a call with Rich to get your blueprint to success, figure out what your next steps are in life. And so because you've already gotten a free PDF download, you're warming up to the brand, and you're going to get this $1,000 value for free, and then be able to then learn about autonomy. So we're putting a bunch of new steps in before you get, look at that, Agnieszka. Before you even learn about it, the autonomy course, right? So just delivering value. And this here sales funnel is going to be up this next week. I'll get your feedback on Monday, Agnieszka. I can already see you're ready to drop some knowledge on that. But I'm excited to turn this funnel on, and I think next season in autonomy is we're going to swell. We've capped it off at 300 new students to make it manageable for us to be able to continue to offer value to each individual. But I really think season 4 is going to shoot for the moon, and excited about that. Thank you all for tuning in. That's it for this week's Do It Live Autonomy podcast. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Agnieszka, for joining in on the conversation. Tim, thanks for popping in here. Join us next week as we cover week 7. We're still in week 7 of season 3 of Autonomy. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast on whatever you're watching it on. BitChute. Oh, man, we're still on YouTube. YouTube's still up for now. Don't get me going on that. But subscribe to not miss an episode. And if you want to get autonomy for yourself, go to getautonomy.info/ignite and tell them one of us sent you. We'll be happy to get you into autonomy and get you living the life you want to be living for yourself. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye. Have fun.